decided to get in the kayak fishing world, and guess what? They're taking you along for the ride. So buckle in and welcome to Paddle and Fin.
Hello and welcome back to the Paddle and Fin podcast. Happy New Year's to all you wonderful listeners out there in the ether. I'm Brian.
And I'm Jay.
And it's Ricketts.
Yeah, buddy. You boys have a good break, good Christmas?
It was nice, man. It was, kind of low-key this year, which I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
After a busy year, low-key is nice, but it was fun. Family time's good. My wife's been sick. She got that bug. She's been sick for 2 weeks going, man. So
Oh, man.
hers was a little miserable, but mine was pretty good.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. How you guys holding up?
Dude,
Great.
I tell you what, man. We took this 2-week break on podcasts, and I'd, get home at night, don't I have something to do? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I don't have any podcasts to edit, upload, none of that stuff. So it was kind of nice to just reset, hang with the fam, and, just enjoy some home quality time.
Did you guys do any fishing?
No.
Yeah.
No, I did. Dude, 60-something degree day. Me and my son were out hiking.
Yeah.
Bro, slinging baits. We didn't catch crap, but we were out there slinging them,
Well, I hate you, so.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I know Sam Jones and a bunch of Indiana guys, a couple guys from Illinois. They all went down, met up at Newton the day after Christmas because it was 60 degrees, and I'm at work getting text messages of fish pics, and I'm like, jeez, I hate my life right now. But, it is what it is. I'm glad those guys got out, man, because I would have definitely taken advantage for sure. But, yeah, man. So we're going to start the season off with a banger here. I want to just point out real quick, too, is I put a post up on Facebook yesterday. We're recording this New Year's Day. And I put a post up to see who could guess the first guest of the 2020 first podcast back in 2020. And the guest we have on tonight, we'll get to in a second, but the guest, one of his hometown state guys, actually guessed it, Mr. Reese Melvin, so shout out to him. But I wanted to point that out is you guys should, if you're not following us on social media, definitely do that. So Reese is getting a fresh new Paddle and Fin hat in the black, like Jay is wearing. So,
I like the black.
Yeah, it's slick. Gray ain't too bad either. But,
Ain't too bad at all.
But, yeah, so, 2020, we're going to work on doing some more, giveaway stuff, whether it be Paddle and Fin, something from one of the show's supporters, something like that. So, just wanted to point out, guys and gals, to pay attention to the social media. But, like I said, we wanted to start out 2020 with a positive vibe. So who better than my man, JD Desrosiers, in the house with us this evening. And he's a repeat guest. We talked to him. It was about a year ago, I think, right? I think it was last February we talked to JD for the first time. And then we had him back on the 1-year anniversary podcast. He kicked us off with that. So I figured what better way than kick off 2020 on a high note with JD. If you guys don't know JD, definitely follow this man on social media. JD is a guy, I know Ricketts, you put out a post last night about mentors and stuff. And, Aaron Steiger, one of your mentors, dude. And I tell you what, man, JD is a guy I reached out to a long time ago, talking about some stuff. And I've always looked at him as kind of a mentor in a mentorish way. He does things on a positive note, professional manner, things like that. So I just want to say thank you to JD for, helping me out through some of my times, man. And that's the thing, I think a lot of people get away from that in the kayak fishing community, man. There's so many helpful people out there that you can reach out to. And I know, when I first reached out to JD, I was like, I don't know this dude. Should I hit send? Like, and I hit send, dude, and he replied back, and he was like, yo, bro, man, absolutely. I'll answer whatever questions you got. And that was kind of cool, because that was one of the first experiences I had reaching out to somebody I didn't know. And JD was very welcoming on that. So I think that kind of describes who he is in a good way. But JD, welcome back, my man.
Thank you. I really appreciate the kind words and the opportunity to be back on Paddle and Fin podcast and to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, man.
Hey, you need to stop pointing those guns at me, bro. Good Lord. You been working out, son? You making me...
What is that, a medium?
Go ahead. I'm going to reactivate my Crunch Fitness right now. JD's got the gun show. Rat-a-tat-tatted. Sticking them huge biceps all up in my face right now. God.
He's like
my wife don't see those, man. You're bald-headed. She's going to divorce me.
He's like, oh, that's right. I'm going to be on the podcast. Oh, I'm going to put on the tight one today.
Yeah, I'm going to put on my 5. Oh, man. Swole, dude. You been working out or what?
Well, yeah, he's got a busted foot, so he's got to sit around just doing curls, man. He can't work the legs.
Girls for the girls. Good Lord, son. Good for you, man.
Rehabbing the foot, trying to get it back right, ankle. It's been a long road. It's the longest I've actually ever been down with an injury. So I'm trying to stay mentally focused and physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a climbing accident, right? You were climbing and messed up your ankle?
Yeah, I fell. So I was bouldering. And I fell from about 12 feet and landed on the very edge of the crash pad. And when I did, the ankle bone touched the ground and made a god-awful pop.
Oh.
I rolled up in a ball for about 5 minutes and finally got my crap together. Luckily, I had a close friend there with me. And he got me to my truck, and I drove home and immediately went to the doctor. And it took him about, I'd say, 11 days to fully diagnose the injury, which is it's a severe sprain, but I tore ligaments on both sides of the ankle.
Oof.
So luckily no surgery, just a lot of physical therapy.
Yeah.
What is bouldering? You said bouldering?
Yeah. It's like
So
free
that's
climbing.
Yeah.
Under 14 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Not me. Good for you, though.
Well, I mean, 14 feet for Ricketts. Ricketts is so short. 14 feet seems like 140.
Eiffel Tower, bro. My wife when she wears heels, dude, I got to get a stepladder just to give her a kiss. You know? Hate being short, dude.
By the way, tell this scarecrow I got his money.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad you're healing up, man. I know I've been following along, watching your road to recovery on that, man. So hopefully you're healed up soon and you can get back out there in the kayak and rip it up a little bit, you know.
I broke my tailbone. That never healed. That's been over a year ago. I was riding. I got into mountain biking, right? I'll tell you a story. I'll make it quick because it's kind of funny. So, my buddies I rode real motorcycles with, right? And he's like, dude, you got to get into mountain biking. It's great. Get you in great shape. All right, cool, man. Everything I do, I go all in. And if I hate it, I'll sell it. If I love it, I'll keep it, right? So I went all in. I got this nice, fancy mountain bike. And I was riding through around here. There's like so many mountain bike trails that you can go to.
Sure.
And so I was at this local one. It was like November. And it was East Fork mountain bike trail out here. Surrounds East Fork Lake, which is a real nice fishing lake around here. And I wasn't going that fast. It was just getting dark, Bike's all set up for me perfectly. And a mountain bike, when it's set up perfectly for you, your feet, when you're on a seat, your feet can't touch the ground, right? So it's meant to be on pedals, whatever. That doesn't matter. So I'm riding at a moderate pace, man. My buddy's right on my heels. Leaves on the ground. Front tire hits a root, right? I'm 5'8", y'all. Ain't no way in hell I'm touching that ground regardless, right? The only thing that kept me from falling off that bike was the front of the bike seat, the pointy part. It rammed halfway inside me, and I'm going 20 miles an hour down the trail, And the only thing keeping me from falling off the seat was the seat, right? And my feet were off the pedals, and I'm 220 pounds, dude. I'm hitting every bump going down this trail on my butt on the seat. It was terrible. I got off that bike and almost puked to pass out at the same time. I never felt so violated and hurt in my entire life, and it hasn't been right since, man. So I sold that freaking mountain bike 3 months after that. I was done.
Yeah.
And mountain bike, not for me.
Yeah.
Climbing boulders, nope. Good for you, man. Not for me.
And that bike didn't even take you to dinner and a movie first.
Didn't even kiss me on the mouth. Just showed me what's up. Oh, you want to get mountain biking, bro? Okay, I got you.
Right.
Yeah.
All I heard was fiddles, and there was love making, and I've been sore ever since.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Yeah. Welcome to 2020, y'all. Ricketts got molested by a mountain bike. Here you go.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I'd say that's a little worse than JD's story, but yeah, I don't even know what to say to that.
Can't say nothing to it. It just hurts, man. It's
Well, the first time, right?
yeah. Third and fourth time it was fun, but
We're gonna go down the road.
Yeah, we're all right. You turn.
all right.
You turn.
So, anyways, I'm done. I won't.
I'm
tell
trying
you
the drug
my
right now.
story.
Don't worry.
Well, let's jump into the, like I said, we wanted to start off on a positive vibe. JD's one of the most positive guys I know personally. And one thing we wanted to talk about, if you guys are following JD, every Friday he does a thing called Positive Vibes in music and positive vibes, right?
Yes.
And it's pretty cool, man. I always feel bad because I'm always like a half hour late, but he live streams it. It's up on his Facebook page, man, and I think it's just a good message. John Jackson participates in this, and who else? There's one other guy, right?
Todd West.
Todd West, that's it. So how did you guys get started doing this? I mean, what was your thought process on, basically kicking this off, man?
So the way we did it is Todd, I would say a year and a half or so ago, he was doing it solo. And when I met Todd and started hanging out with him, I always told him, I was like, dude, you're a nut because you're just so transparent on your music and you're so hilarious. I said, if you ever kick it back up, I want to get in on it. He's like, well, shoot, what are we waiting on? And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I reached out to John Jackson, and I wanted to try to cover a huge area. So John's in Washington State, Todd's in Georgia, and I'm in South Carolina. So we just do it, and hopefully every week we all three share, but sometimes we miss it. Sometimes they pick up the slack. Sometimes I do. And we just do it because, one, we want to spread the positive message. We want to do it no matter if one person's on or if there are 100 people watching it. And we just want to interact with people while we're on there. A few of the times that I've done it, I've asked the audience what they wanted to hear. So that's changed it up. Yes, I play a ton of reggae online because I'm reggae to the core. Todd, he'll play a wide variety of music, which is super cool. I've played some bluegrass or newgrass. I've played some folk music. I've played some stuff from Australia, but predominantly it's reggae. And John Jackson, he plays a little bit of folk, a whole lot of crazy underground hip hop, and he'll play a lot of electronic music too.
Nice.
But it's a good diverse group, and we just feel that we just want to spread love and get rid of the hate of the world, and we're just trying to add our little 2 cents in by doing that.
I dig it, man. Yeah, I know. One time when I did catch it live, you mentioned asking the audience. I think you played Gary Clark Jr., which badass blues guitarist. If you don't know him, but you were like instrumental or the actual track, and I was like instrumental. I'm all about instrumentals, dude. And you were like, all right, Brian called it. We're listening to the instrumental, so it was cool, man. I dig it. And not only that, but like you said, man, you try to change it up between different genres of music and things like that. And you know, I used to listen to reggae back in the day, and there was a band you recently had on there, and we kind of connected on that, and that was the Elevators. And dude, I tell you what, man, I've been jamming that nonstop. My wife gets in the truck and she's like, again? Like, didn't we listen to this 100 times already? I was like, yeah, but it's good, you know? So it's kind of funny, man. I dig it. And I know I've caught a couple of John's live streams as well, man. And like you said, man, I think it's a nice way to kick the weekend off on a positive note when guys are getting ready and gals are getting ready to go out, hit the water, you know, enjoy the weekend, whatever they may have coming up, things like that, man. So I appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to keep it rolling and, you know, keep spreading the message. And if you guys ever want in, just say, hey, I'll get in on it.
I was going to say, if you need a guy in the Midwest, hit me up.
No doubt.
Yeah, sure.
That's pretty killer, man. Especially with everything that goes on in the kayak community today, because it seems like it's taken a very dramatic turn, and I mean dramatic. You know, which I think what you're doing is going to make it turn back to what it should be: fun and exciting and low key, and you know, fun is the emphasis on this. We're not in this not to have fun. So,
well, that's one of the things, you know, I wanted to why I wanted to have JD on, man. And he put a post out a couple days ago, and I'm going to read through this real quick just to kind of preference everything. This year and decade is coming to an end, and I'm excited to see what journeys and adventures await around the next corner. I love change and adapting to new situations, and I've chosen a path of positive living, offering a helping hand, and being transparent. No drama, no fake or rude folks from here on out. Too many people have a negative motive and they're all about themselves. I absolutely can't get down with this, and one of many reasons I've made some life-changing moves for good. Be light to this world. It's a way of life. Dude, I mean, if that's not positive and a good way to look at it, man, I don't know what is. And you know, before we started here, we were talking about it. You know, like Rick had said, man, there's just so many dramatic things going on in this small little community. You know, when I got into the community, it was like everybody was like family. Everybody wanted to help each other out. Now it's just like you got people getting upset and like over the stupidest stuff, like who's fishing KBF, who's fishing Hobie, who's fishing out of this boat, who's fishing. I mean, who cares? We're just all out there out in the water having a good time, man. And I think that's the big key right there, you know. And like I said, in JD's post right there, he was talking about lending a helping hand, and that's why I preferenced that at the beginning. You know, I reached out to JD, and he answered some questions that I had, and in return, you know, by doing this podcast, I know both of you guys have had conversations with, you know, listeners, people you run into on the water, things like that, where, you know, they're asking you questions, man, and it's all about just helping each other out and having a better experience out there and enjoying what we all do in these, you know, they're just little plastic boats, guys, you know?
That's all it is. JD, your message is so good, man. And you know, and I didn't see that until just now. Your post, right? The first time, but last night before midnight, before I made my post, I actually sent out text to people, and the texts were apology text, you know. And one of the first guys I sent one out to, Zach Carell, right? So early in the year, Zach and I had a falling out. I could have handled some things differently. I sent him in text. I say, listen, man, I could have handled some things differently, and I'm sorry for the things that went down. You know, I hold myself responsible for that. I could have done some things different. He immediately sent me a text back and said the same thing. He goes, I'm not going in 2020, not your friend. I said, I agree. You know, and then I sent a few texts out to some people who burnt me bad too. And I said, hey, you know, sorry how things went down. I'm sorry that I did not see this coming. You know what I mean? Like, am I sorry that they burnt me? I'm sorry I wasn't smart enough to see it coming. You know what I mean? But I'm not carrying any baggage. I'm not carrying any drama. I'm not carrying anything going in 2020 in this sport, because I got into this 6 years ago because it was fun. And it's, you know, the next 6 years are going to be fun, or I'm out. You know, I'm not gonna waste any drama. No feelings. You know, I met a lot of good friends here, and you know, I love my friends. I'm loyal to my friends. Somebody messes with Brian or Jay, I'm gonna smack the crap out of them. You know, it's just how it is. Yeah,
from a step stool.
From a step stool.
I was like, he's opening the door. I'm like, oh, Brian's there already.
Hey, it's all love, man.
No, I think that's great, dude. I mean, you know, life is too short, man. You know, and I mean, for what? You know, like to spend all your time, and you know, I'll be the first to admit, man, sometimes I get drawn into that crap, you know, because I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on in the kayak fishing world. Having this podcast, kind of got to do that, but it got to the point a couple weeks ago where it just, I'll be honest, and I haven't even had this conversation with Jay or Ricketts, is it turned me off. Like, I was just like, what the hell is happening right now? You know, like, I don't even want to think about a kayak or kayak fishing or none of this. Just all the negativity going on. And, you know, I always turn to my man JD for positivity, man. And that's the thing, like, you know, and I started sitting there thinking, like, what can we do different? How do we change this? You know what I mean? And that's part of my focus going forward in 2020. You know, I'm pretty in line with my man over there, JD, and it's just like, you know, let's build this in a positive way instead of making, you know, that's the thing too, is, you know, kayak fishing is exploding, and you get people that are new to the sport coming into it, and then they start seeing all this negative crap, and they're like, what the hell am I getting into? You know? Right. And then they're like turning around and selling their boat like Ricketts sold his mountain bike because they feel like they just took it in the rear, you know?
Right. You're right. Did you even know besides JD, one of the most anti-dramatic kayak fishermen out there? He used to be on our podcast, Johnny Graves.
Yeah, absolutely.
He does not buy into the drama.
Yep.
And, you know, he really enjoys rolling solo, too.
Sure. Because
it takes him out of that. But if you ever talk to John, it's all positivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he reminds me so much of JD because the same way with him, too. You know, and I'm sure there's days that's tough. Everybody's human beings, man. It's tough to be positive every day. And sometimes you have to push through the negativity to find the positivity. But you know, you, JD, and John Graves both are masters. You guys are Jedi masters when it comes to that. I mean, I definitely look up to you both. Sometimes I get mad. I'm just like, dude.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it too. It's, you know, times are different these days. I think first and foremost, you got to remember why you got into fishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and why you enjoy being out there, and then, you know, build on that. All this other stuff with social media, it's all extra. And yeah, there's a ton of negativity out there. There's still some good people, you know.
Absolutely.
And you know, and as Brian knows, I mean, I have taken many steps back.
Yeah.
Like, I am, you know, every now and then I'm just not as active. I have to do a cleansing. I'd be honest with you, man, I really just don't enjoy social media anymore at all.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just feel better not being connected to it.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm still in there. You know, it's just like, but I have to be careful too, because you do, you know, you get affected by some of the things that come by, and, you know, you just got to remember it's, you know, everybody's got a voice now.
Yeah.
You know, everybody deserves to have a voice, but it's not always the best thing.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
It's
right.
You know, I mean, so, but I mean, you know, you got to take it for what it is, and you just got to be careful. It's, you know, and I'd be lying if I didn't call Brian, you know, a couple times being like, dude, I'm like totally going nuts in the head right now about a lot of stuff. And it's like, you know, just because the influence from the outside world, and you're letting it soak in. And like I said, you know, it just takes, you have to be like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get away from all this and just kind of relax and just remember where I came from, why I'm in this, and why I'm going to continue doing it. And just,
so what do you do to relax?
Me?
Yeah, like what's are you a meditator or are you
Yeah,
the
I'm a
other M?
meditator. No, I mean, a lot of my interests don't. I mean, a great deal of interest lies in fishing, of course, but I'm also an archer. Back a little bit back further for my heavier days, I was, as a mountain biker, too. I mean, I was racing for a little bit. I like being outside, hanging with my kids. I don't know. I just try to get some peace out of it, and it's funny, man, when you get like past 40, you start like really like, the spirituality of things makes more sense. Like the discovery of like different frequencies and, how that, affects your overall being. And I'm sure JD knows about that kind of stuff. And, there's I don't know.
Did you just call JD old?
It's called him old, bro.
Wait a second.
I know JD knows about that.
Yeah, all I gotta say is Atari. Okay?
That's right. He did make the Atari reference earlier.
Yeah. He totally did it to himself. No, but I mean, like I said, I mean, it's really, I think a lot of this resides in the tournament community, from what I see.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, guys. Nothing against any of you. It's just that we see it. And then there's guys like me that just want to travel and see the world, and fish different species and places, and
absolutely,
that's where my heart lies. And then hunting as well. Like hunting will become a part of me more than it has been like this next year coming up. I'll start to infuse that into, either the cast or just in my Instagram or whatever. But, I'm trying to just get back to my roots and just kind of settle down and, again, just simplifying things.
Yeah.
To just to reflect on yourself and then what you need to do to succeed at whatever you're doing. And I'm not trying to do anything. It's like, I'm a realist. I'm not going to become no pro, in any of this stuff. It's like, I mean, I'm just trying to enjoy it.
I was waiting for the old Jay Randall saying, "I'm just a hack, bro."
I'm just a hack, bro. But I mean, if I get to help out some people along the way, which that's how I actually became friends with Brian.
Yeah.
Through Scott.
Yeah. Through the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I became friends with him. And I've always been like that. And I mean, and JD's, we talked, and Jay, me and you have obviously, hung out plenty of times. So it's like, how I am, I'm a little bit more reserved, but then like, I come out of my shell every now and then and, and do my thing. But I mean, it's just about enjoying your time. I like just kicking back and relaxing and enjoying the moments. And that's where I am with, and that's how I got positivity out of things.
Mm-hmm. How about you, JD? Like, what do you do, man, when you're just like frustrated, you're at your wit's end? How do you regroup, man? How, things are starting to go negative. How do you get back into that positive light?
There's two things that I do first and foremost. One is I go and talk to my wife because she's my best friend. She knows me better than anybody in this world. And I can vent to her. I can lean on her. I can cry to her, and she'll keep me grounded. And number two, if it's really like super bad, weighing down on me, I'll go pray about it, and I'll pray for it, a day or a month, whatever it takes till I hear that clear answer. And then I love to ride my bike. Yeah. 3 weeks before I got injured, I bought a brand new gravel bike, and I was beating the snot out of that thing. And it was like I was doing it twice a week. I was rock climbing twice a week. So I was in a great physical routine, which helped keep my mind totally clear. Mm-hmm. And then I love being outdoors like all of us. Just today, I went for like a 3-hour drive exploring new waters, and I threw the line 3 times, but I stood beside a river that I haven't seen in 15 years. And it was just like, wow, man, I could just feel it all go away instantly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is exactly what I needed to start off 2020.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I woke up this morning early before the wife and kids got up. We were all kind of hanging out last night, stayed up too late, but I woke up early. Went and got my coffee. It's like routine. I always, even when I get a chance to sleep in, I don't want to. I want to get up. Went and got the coffee, and then took about an hour and a half drive. And all I did was explore mouth creeks. I'm like, I pulled up I'm sitting in the Starbucks parking lot. I'm not drinking foofy drinks. I'm drinking the real deal black coffee.
You hoity-toity. You went to Starbucks?
It's, hey, a venti blonde roast with some heavy whipping cream and 5 stevia, bro. That's how I roll every time. Right there.
I'll tell you this, man.
Wait, that's normal? Whipping cream is normal?
Yeah.
Heavy whipping cream. It's delicious, bro. It's delicious.
My
Dude,
bad.
I got a French press for Christmas, and those 2 bags of coffee that Susie sent me for the Secret Santa, almost gone, bro. The one bag is already gone. Dude. The other one is like almost. Sorry, way off subject. Go ahead.
No, you're not way off. My favorite coffee is Black Rifle Coffee Company, bro. Yeah. Silencer smooth. If it doesn't have SS, I don't want it.
Well, what about Murdered Out, man? That's what I got at my house right now.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Black Beer's Delight's pretty good too. Shout out Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Yes,
if you guys ever want to come on the podcast, talk about that, bro.
Yeah, let's get Mad. Let's get Mad Best on here. That
dude, he's the man's man. I can't. That guy turns me on so much. I can't talk about him. I mean, it's crazy. So I wake up early in the morning, wife and kids still asleep, and I was just like, man, this feels good. I've never laid eyes on these body of waters, and I keep a fishing rod and some tackle in my truck at all times. It's there at all times. A little cheap spinning rod, but I didn't throw, but I was there and I was just looking at it. And I was like, okay, I want to hit this year. I've never fished here. I've never fished here. I live close to some amazing water, but I travel away from it to do the majority of my fishing, which absolutely makes no sense, right?
Sure.
So 2020, I was like, I'm staying home and I'm gonna try to figure my own water out. I literally I can hit the Ohio River with a golf ball.
Yeah.
And I maybe touched 3 trips off the Ohio all last year. And maybe was on the actual Ohio River maybe twice. Not this year. That's changing. So.
Yeah, man. Last year, I hit the tournament scene pretty hard. Started out the season with a banger. And towards the end of the season, I was having some rough times. And I'm like, what is my deal? And I got too focused on the stupid crap, AOI, rookie of the year, like just stupid stuff. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm supposed to be doing this to have fun, and it's becoming worse than a job, right? And I had to really step back and take a look at that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had a fun year. It was a great learning experience and stuff, but it really took away from what I was doing. And with those frustrations, on the tournament trail and stuff, it really frustrated me here on the podcast, because I had the podcast to worry about. I'm worrying about tournament trails, my normal job, like life. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing, man? Mm-hmm. And I really had to break it down and evaluate, like, is this good for me? Is it healthy? Like, it's making me miserable, and it's turning me into if your kids are in the car, close their ears, an asshole. But, and it's just, that wasn't me, and I really had to take a step back and evaluate, what the hell am I doing, So, like we talked about, I was on the podcast with Sam and Dan and Susie, and we were talking about 2020 tournaments and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, not really fishing much, like I'm going to fish some local stuff, and that's basically it. I want to focus on adventure, getting out there, getting, like you said, Rick, it's back to the roots, focusing on media content. Jay and I had a conversation about that earlier today, we talked about doing like overnight river trips and stuff like that. Like, that's the fun stuff, tournament stuff, let's face it, unless you're, Josh Stewart, Jamie Broad, Christine Fisher, those kind of folks, like, you ain't going anywhere, well, you could work to that. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, but I was going to say, too, it's like, me and you had this talk before, because I kind of had an epiphany, like, as Brian said so eloquently, I'm a hack. And, it's like, I can't compete with the guys, but, and everybody at that top level, which is fine. I mean, I can catch me some fish, as far as bass go. But, I think tournament fishing helps you find yourself.
Sure.
and really realize like what you want to do. And like, hey, hats off to everybody that's doing that. We are not discrediting you one bit.
Not at all.
It's just that, and I know some of you are so good at tournament fishing and basically becoming machines, you know, in that respect, because you do become a machine. You have to, but you know, some people just don't enjoy that, and then that's fine. You know, that's where you guys reign, and that's, you know, but for a lot, you know, the regular guys, you know, and gals, they want to just go hit the water and chill. Shit, I mean, I still like just falling asleep on my kayak sometimes, like just relaxing on the water. I mean, put the power pole down, just kind of take a deep breath, listen to everything, and just relax. You know, just chill.
And I think that's what I was trying to get at, man. Like, you know, I just kind of figured out, like, tournament fishing turned me into a completely different person, and it's not for me. And it is for other people, man. I know, you know, tournament fishing for me, it was just more about meeting people, the camaraderie, you know, like I met Sam Jones, Alan Reed, Dylan Fuqua, and his old man on the road. The nights we had just sitting around rigging our equipment, talking, because we camped and, you know, rented Airbnbs and stuff together, man. That's what the tournament was about for me. It wasn't about cashing at shack and all that stuff. So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I enjoyed that aspect of it, and that fell away from me through the season, and I was so focused on the other crap that just shouldn't have mattered. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing that I'm looking at, man. I'm trying to be more positive. I don't want to fall back into that loophole and worry about qualifying for this, or, you know, how many AOI points I got for that. Like, that's just not me personally. I think it's funny, you know, like we, you know, started posting all these videos on YouTube and stuff of our podcasts, and I went back and I was watching old videos that I did with Jay, you know, up in Madison Chain, Bass and Gill Club that Jay belongs to. That was some fun times, dude. That was fun fishing. Me and Jay just out there, you know, getting lines wet, shooting the shit, and, you know, laughing and giggling like a bunch of schoolgirls about stupid stuff. Like, that's what, you know, I miss in doing, you know. So it's like earlier today when Jay and I were talking about that on the phone, and it was just like, I love that. I want to get back into that grassroots, like where we all started, you know. And I think that's cool too, because so going back to when I reached out to JD, it was regarding, like, I think it was like paddling versus putting a trolling motor on my boat and this and that. And JD's like, do what's going to make you happy, man. It doesn't matter either way. What matters is if you can catch the fish or not, dude. Just go out there and do your thing. You know, so that's kind of how this is all coming full circle, right? Like, going back to originally, you know, talking to JD, he's just, dude, just go out there and do you, bro. It doesn't matter what you got on your kayak, if it's human-powered electric motor, just go out there and fish, you know? Yeah. So I think that's the great message right there is, you know, just go out and fish, have a good time. Don't worry about all the other stuff, you know, help others out, things like that. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're pretty much in the same wavelength, you know?
If you want to be a master tournament angler, that's okay. If you just want to be an adventurer, that's okay too.
Yeah.
I like to kind of think that when I set my mind to something, I achieve it. You know, that's just something I've always done, you know. But I've never wanted to be a master tournament angler. Do I have potential? Of course. I think we're human beings, man. You know, we're only halted by our own minds and our own thoughts. Sure. If you want something, you have a desire and you chase it, you learn it, you do it. All these great tournament anglers, like we just mentioned, like Christine and, you know, Siddiqui and all them guys, they wanted it. Yeah. They busted their butts. They didn't stop. They overcame their obstacles, and they're masters of the universe right now in the kayak fishing community. And hats off to you guys. That's amazing. That may not be other people's things, and that's okay. Be an adventurer. This year, I'm doing the adventure thing, you know, overnight camping on the side of the river with my son and daughter, you know, things like that. That's what I'm going to focus on, because last year, you know, I neglected to add them into a lot of my adventures. And I feel kind of guilty about that looking back. You know, I'm looking at all these pictures. I'm like, you know, Jackson, there was a post on Jackson. Hey, we're going to make a big Instagram thing. Send me some of your favorite fishing pictures. Cool, man. I'm flipping through there, and I'm like, son of a bitch. 90% of these are without my family.
Sure.
Like, what did I do last year? You
Right.
know, so that's going to change this year. So, yeah. JD, what was the turning point for you, bro? Because you used to be Team Bonafide. You stepped away, correct?
Correct.
What was the turning point? When did you say, I'm done? When did you say, enough with all this, it's JD time?
Yeah, so I was looking back this time last year on what I accomplished in 2018, and I was like, wow, man, I've done a lot. And my goal was to get fully plugged into Bonafide. I wanted to work at Bonafide. And yes, that opportunity came up. But after praying about it, after talking to my wife about it, I turned the position down. I did 30 events in 2018 for Bonafide. And, I was like, man, that's a whole lot of time away from family. But luckily, my wife was super supportive, and she was telling me, chase your dream. Try to make this a career if that's what you're thinking about. And come about April, I was like, I'm done. I'm stepping away 100%. If people want to, I started then in April's when I started seeing a big swing in the motivation of the sport. I started seeing a lot of attitude, a lot of backstabbing, and I'm not saying it was at Bonafide or Wilderness Systems or Jackson or Hobie. I think it's the industry as a whole.
Absolutely.
It's very, very sad because I've been paddling for 9 years. I've been on teams for 6 years or whatever. But this past year has been totally different than anything I've ever seen. And I just said, that's it. I'm done. I'm stepping away. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do it for myself. And if the companies that I'm representing want to get down and they're cool with what I'm doing, then awesome. Let's keep doing what we're doing. I'm going to keep doing, killer content for you, photography, writing articles, whatever it is. But no matter what, I'm going to do what makes me happy for myself and for my family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say sell out to another company again, but I feel like I devoted so much time in 2018 that there was no payoff in the long run. And that's fine. That's a hard lesson learned. I get it. No big deal. No hard feelings. I wish everybody the best. But, it's time for me to do what I want to do. And I'll just be perfectly honest. I haven't been in my boat since August. And I have no problem saying that. It's sitting right across from me right now. My Flint is. But I've talked to them. I've talked to New Canoe. I've talked to Everett. And I told him, I said, look, man, this is what I'm going to do. And if you're cool with it, then fine. If not, fine. It doesn't matter. I want to do and focus on being in nature and just finding that peace and balance in my life. And that's why I've chosen to kind of step back, reset, and concentrate more on trout fishing. And in 2020, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be probably trout fishing more than I ever have in my whole life. And
Nice.
will I still paddle? Absolutely. I mean, I've paddled for so long, I can't just throw it away.
Sure.
But, I'm concentrating more on, so every winter I try to do something new, try to do a new technique, whether it's jig fishing or finesse fishing or whatever it is. So luckily I've just purchased my wife bought me a super nice fly rod. I bought the reel, and I'm going to start fly fishing more.
Yeah.
Something I'm going to learn how to do.
Absolutely. It's an art form, and it's super hard, but once you get the basics down, you got it.
Yep.
And I've been relying on Todd West for a lot of information. He was sending me pictures of flies he was tying last night at 1 a.m., and I was like, I gotta get a vise so I can start learning how to tie. And it's just a whole nother avenue for me to really be passionate about and drive my energy down. And there's absolutely no drama in trout fishing. You are either out there with 2 or 3, 4 guys, or you're solo.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of environmental and conservation behind, trout fishing, around all fishing. But I see that there's a big focus on clean water so that the trout are healthy, so that the oxygen's, super good for them. And that's what I did today. I went to go look at new trout spots, and I've got some goals in mind. I thought I was going to accomplish them this year, but with the injury, that killed all fishing. So yeah, I'm going to try to catch a native, rainbow, brook, and brown all in the same year. And then once I can do that, I hope, and this is super hard to do, I'm going to try to catch the tiger trout. I just learned that they were here, but I'm almost certain I found a zone earlier this year, probably around October, that had a tiger trout in it. I sat there and messed with it and studied it for about 20 minutes. Then I approached the body of water. I fished it. He turned and looked 2 or 3 times. So I kind of thought he was spooked. So I backed off. And then when I looked again, I was kind of like in behind a rock in a tree watching the fish and how he was reacting to insects coming by, how the currents were changing. And I thought I almost want to swear on it, but I won't. But just the patterning of that tiger trout is so distinct, and the color, I was like, that has to be one. And I got ready to make another throw in. And granted, I'm like 2 miles deep, my car.
Yeah.
And I hear some limbs crack, and I turn around, and there's an old guy walking up on me. And I'm like, where did this guy come from?
That's creepy.
I didn't want to give it away. He was fishing, but I didn't want to give away what I was doing or what I was doing. So I left. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself. I'm out of here type deal. But I'm going back. So I hope I can get a tiger trout also. And then I'm going to try to plan a big trip out west. I hope I can go to I want to fly into Bozeman and hang out at Sims for a day or two. And then probably fish like the Lamar Valley, Upper Yellow area. Yeah. Because it's real affordable to fish Yellowstone. You can fish Yellowstone for like $25 for a week.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it's really affordable.
Well, if you're looking for some more tiger trout and you want to come visit, we got some streams about 2 hours from my place at Hold'em.
Nice.
But no, that's cool, man. So I was heavy into the fly fishing right before I got into the kayak fishing, and Jay knows, so I'll send some fly patterns your way. I'll send you my secret sauce, so to speak, and you'll dig it. But dude, that's cool, man. I mean, that's just it, the adventure, man, like you're talking about. I think that's where the 4 of us are kind of on keel, but
yeah,
I dig
for sure.
that, man. I love that you're trying to get all 3 native species in your home waters. That's super cool, man. I mean, what are your guys' goals for 2020? Like JD, you guys got anything in mind yet? Or
I do. Fishing wise, man, I used to be a big catfish angler back in the day, and I stopped. And I love it, man. I know it's black bass species definitely comes with its I don't want to say competition, but what's the word I'm looking for? They're hard to dial in sometimes. Challenge. They come at a challenge, right? It's hard to dial them in. You got to throw different baits. They're finicky. They're not finicky. This, that. Big cat hunting is got its own set of challenges that are different. Maybe there's always that competition between bass fishermen and cat fishermen, right? If you're a cat fisherman and a bass guy, there's always some punches thrown back and forth. Not literally, but just kind of comical. But anyways, I'm gonna get back to doing that, man. I miss it. I miss that big tug. I miss hunting those things down, man. I miss the big 40, 50, 60 pounders. I just, I miss it, and it's kind of serene. It's fun. Coincidentally, I never fly fished before. That's one of the things I want to learn how to do. And you guys talk about fly fishing. I'm like, I need a beginner fly setup, and I know nothing about fly fishing. To me, it seems very simple. A rod, a pocket full of flies. Is that right? You guys have like a little binder full of flies, and I mean, there's really not an in-depth ton of equipment that you got to have, right? Or no?
Yeah. I mean,
Just small fortune in flaws.
yeah. It's. I mean, you're better off learning to tie. That's first and foremost. I mean, I'm no expert. But from what I've learned is, there's different types of fly rods for like. So if you're going for like trout, I would think we would all agree like probably a 4-weight.
Yeah.
Like a 3 to 4 weight would be like perfect for that.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell a 3 or 4 weight means.
So like a normal bass rod is like light, medium, heavy.
Right.
So it's basically the weight of the rod is similar to the action in the bass rod, so to speak.
Yeah. So like for pike fishing, I have an 8 weight.
That's like your heavy stick.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and so you can do a 10 or a 12, but that's when you're throwing like real heavy streamers.
Right. Right.
Like, and I've been squeaking by with my 8 weight, but I mean, to your point, it's it simplifies things in some ways, but it's also like a lot more of an intimate like experience because
like
it's
my mountain bike experience.
well, not that intimate, but it definitely. I mean, and that wasn't even slow. That was probably fast.
Yeah.
But I mean, it slows things down. Like you feel more engaged with your environment. With nature. It's I can't really explain it. It to me, I really, really do like fly fishing, and I'm no expert. And trout fishing is a whole nother realm of fishing because those fish are so finicky. Like they have such excellent eyesight. I mean, these guys have to like kneel when they cast. And don't get me started on the cast. There's different types of cast. That's probably be the hardest thing you're ever going to learn is the cast. How to like lay the fly in there. But I mean, but it is good. It's worth learning, and it takes an incredible amount of patience. I think that everybody could agree with that. It's not like picking up a conventional rod.
No.
Right.
But I think the payoff is so much greater. Just because, I mean, I always have my fly rod in the truck too. And I was actually talking to Brian about this. Like, I really neglected. I had a really rough year this year, and I didn't really fish a lot. But I really want to get back to what I wanted to do. In the beginning of the year last year, last year at this point, is actually fly fish more for pike. Get into that realm, and then also catfish. I've got a rod that I specifically bought for big catfish that I really want to get into. I'm a little ADD when I fish. I have to be moving all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I know catfishing is going to kind of like really challenge that side of me because you got to sit there and wait. But, I'm willing to do it to just chase other species. It's, and I was fortunate. And JD, you might want to, consider this in the future is go up to Idaho, man. I'm telling you right now, there's so much good fishing. Like we did some bottom bouncing with, for trout. I mean, you can fly fish out there. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And there's a lot of smaller streams and creeks to hit with a fly rod and walk in the mountains. But it's, I don't know, like to me, I really do. I think as I get older, it really becomes more of a need to get closer to that. So fly fishing is probably definitely going to factor into that greatly over time.
Well, I think with fly fishing, right, it's Jay's trying to touch on it. It's definitely a unique experience. So, when you're kayak fishing, what do you prefer more, a lake or a river? A river, right? Because river is a little bit more adventure. The scenery around you is changing around every bend, things like that. Fly fishing's even more than that, right? I mean, it's the same thing, but you're standing in the water, you're trying to present your fly. Sometimes you're standing on the bank, depending on, you know, where you're fishing or whatever.
Or a kayak.
Yeah, but you know, like I've talked about this before on the podcast. You know, I got fly rods I built myself, flies I've tied myself. So basically, my fly fishing setup, I didn't make my reel and I didn't make my fly line. And then you land a nice fish on that setup, dude. It's like a self-accomplishment, right? Like, I fooled this species to bite on something that I made out of hair, feathers, synthetic fabrics, whatever. And like Jay said, their eyesight is just so incredible. I have flies that are like size 24 for when I go out and fish Colorado. You know what a size 24 fly is? Dude,
It's like,
it is like a quarter of the size of your fingernail. Like, I'm 37 years old, dude, and I can't even see this stuff. Just so you guys all know, these glasses are fake, so, you know.
say it's not so.
But, dude, I know JD could attest to this because he's using some small flies down there too, man. Like, to get a fish, you know, I've caught, you know, 24 to 28 inch trout that have hit a number 22 size fly, dude. And that is so minuscule, and to have a fish that big pick that out of this huge expansive river where the water is flowing so fast. It's hard to describe, man. You get this huge slaunch that just slams that fly, and then the fight, you know, it's like, you know, big trout on a fly rod, I always describe as like catching a northern pike on an ultralight, or a big catfish on an ultralight, dude. It'll take you for a ride, man. It's definitely unique, and yeah, I don't know, man. I'm getting all excited. I want to go fly fishing now.
Well, and Jay, I'll tell you, like, I ended up, so I started off learning to cast with this old ass Shakespeare. Brian saw it. It was pretty hard to work with. And then I upgraded. I actually got a Cast King, so shout out to Cast King for that. And got one of their fly rod combos. And I'll tell you what, man.
It's smooth.
It actually
what that rod is,
it made
dude.
me better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like $125 for the combo.
That's not bad.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, it actually made me better at casting. And Brian was using it, and he was saying that it was equivalent to some of the more like $500 rods.
Yeah, dude. I've casted some pretty unique rods, like a Sage, like a $500 Sage rod, dude. That Cast King rod that Jay got is just as smooth, dude. I was blown away. I like started casting it, and I'm like, "You sure this is a Cast King, bro? Like, you messing with me? Like, you put some different decals on here or something? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it." But like, it's the same way with me. So, you know, up here around the Great Lakes, you know, the salmon and the steelhead and the brown trout, they all run up the rivers during spawn. And there's a local forum, you know, like your guys have in Ohio. You know, you guys always reference that. But I was like reading it, like, I can go catch a salmon in the river right now. I don't have to take my boat, like, you know, 10 miles offshore. And then I seen guys were catching them on fly rods. I'm like, come on, no way. So I go to, I think it was Dick's Sporting Goods. I bought a $40 fly rod. Now, this was dumb luck. Go up to the Root River in Racine, Wisconsin. I land a 17-pound king salmon on a $40 fly rod. That fish stripped the gears out of that reel. Like, I had no drag after that. Like, running up and down the banks, fighting this fish, trying to get it in, dude. I was hooked. It was all downhill from there. You know, take my money. you know, like, you know, so, and then, you know, and that's the thing too. Like, a lot of people, when they think of fly fishing, they think, oh, you got to fish for trout or salmon or something like that, dude. You know, like Jay said, pike, bass. I know, JD, you fish for like brim and stuff in your backyard, right? On a little popper or something on the fly rod. Dude, I mean, on my home lake, I've gone out and caught crappie.
Super fun.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it's so much fun to fish for brim because they're hitting on the top with the popper. You just lay it out there. If you see brim beds,
Yeah.
It's like, shooting fish in a barrel, so to speak.
That's good.
Go after the big boys.
Yeah.
You start catching those 2 pound, 3 pound brim on the fly. You got something then.
Yeah.
I'm actually I was just looking it up. I'm doing a seminar at the end of February for the Buckeye United Fly Fishing Association. So they do a show every year. And the seminar is an intro to kayak fishing. So that's, obviously that's where I feel like I'm an expert at. I could give a lot of insight on that. So all this information that I get from now until then, hopefully I'll be able to apply it and pick some stuff up there. Because if you're in the Cincinnati area, if you're in the tri-state, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, this is the show you want to be at if you're a fly fisherman, because it's everybody in fly fishing who is there, right? And all the fly rods and all the fly gear. So my hopes is to learn as much as I can from now until then. That way, when it comes to purchase something, I'll know what to buy.
Yeah, but be careful, man, because those rods can be insanely priced.
Oh yeah,
I mean, insanely.
I got a story on that. So
$100.
yeah,
Yes.
So a good friend of my dad's, he owns a whole chain of pizza restaurants out here in the Chicago area, and he goes to his buddy that's a big fly fisherman. He's like, hey, I want to get my kid a new spay rod, which is a certain form of fly fishing, fly casting. He's like, yeah, just get him, something kind of middle in the road, I'll pay cash, just let me know how it is or how much it is. Dude comes back and he's like, you owe me $1,200. And he's like, what? For a fishing rod? And he was like, yeah, $1,200, dude. You said middle of the road.
Yeah.
For
Holy
this
crap.
spay rod,
Yeah.
which was a little higher end than it needed to be, but that's the thing. But, like Jay said, man, he got that Cast King rod. It goes back to that thing, right? Where, people are like, oh, you can't fish out of a Pelican boat. You got to get a Jackson or a Hobie or something like that. It's the same thing with fly rods, dude, and even traditional tackle. So what? You're not throwing a St. Croix and you're throwing a, an Eagle Claw rod. It's the same difference, dude. It's as long as it's getting you out there and getting you started. Like that's how I always described it. I got a good friend of mine that lives down by Jay, and we're actually supposed to go out Sunday fly fishing. Jay, hit me up.
Yeah, I was like, thanks for telling me.
I forgot all about it when we talked earlier. But we're going to go up to the Tribs. And when I had to convince my buddy Eric to invest some money in a fly rod, I was like, dude, trust me, you're going to love this. And, he found a cheap little rod for $150, a reel for $80, went out, tried it out. He's like, I love this. Now the kid's got 6 fly rods, it's like... It's the same thing, right? When you got into bass fishing, you started with a rod and a hook and a worm and whatever, and then next thing you know, you're buying baits and things like that. So, I mean, dude, don't feel like you got to go out and I think that's the big misconception with fly fishing is a lot of folks, for a long time thought, oh, you need a lot of money to invest in fly fishing gear. Not the case anymore. Maybe 80 years ago when you had to go out and buy a bamboo rod that was handmade by, such and such rod maker and stuff. Not the case anymore, dude. There are so many options out there, like anything in the fishing world, where you can get into it for a small investment. Like I said, that rod reel combo right now, if I was going to recommend one entry-level fly fishing rod reel combo, it'd be that thing by Cast King that Jay's got, dude.
Yeah, and I'll follow up with I actually plan to get the 4-weight of that same rod, and so the way I did research is I know Shane Couvert, who's on the Cast King team, and he was fishing for redfish all the time, and he was always catching them, talking about these rods, so I knew they were they would catch fish, and I knew they were tough. Because I know how Shane fishes too. He's usually, some muddy areas. He's in weird areas all the time. So he's putting it through its paces. I'm watching this. And then I went as far as to go to the Cast King site. And then I find out that the owner of Cast King, that's his background is from fly fishing. And then and then there's a whole video on him talking about it and how he's fishing with it. And then that was kind of like, that's pretty much what pushed me up like the rest of the way to go ahead and buy it. So I went ahead and did that. And then again, I like it so much that I know, and I've talked to Brian, I've just been putting it off. I want to get something for more like, for more trout and bass. So then I kind of want to get like a multi, like a 4 or 5 weight. That's kind of where I'm at. I want to get something that can do trout, but I also want to get something that could like fish for smallies and largemouth too. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, man, it's totally worth it. It's easy to set up. Like when you buy a line for those things, you just match up the line to the type of rod you got. So if you got an 8 weight, you're going to buy 8 weight line. It's that simple. And your leaders can change up depending on how you're fishing. Trout fishing is a little different. They're a lot more meticulous, but you just learn from everybody else. But I'm telling you right now, if you get something like the casting, again, the reel is not the greatest, but it'll work. Not to downplay it. It's just, I think they spent more time. I think you're really buying the rod rather than the reel, but you can always upgrade any of that stuff, and you're going to be happy, with everything you get because it's going to work.
But for a dude that's never done it before, it sounds perfect.
I'll
probably look it up here
well,
momentarily.
And that I'm a big proponent of like the working man's, type of equipment. Like I don't usually spend over $100 on a rod. I try not to anyway. Although I do have a couple $200 ones, but that's, very specific type rods. But, I'm always trying to like not have to spend all that crazy money and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I still catch fish with my carbon lights, my Bass Pro carbon lights. They work great.
Right.
My Veritas rods work great.
Yeah.
No complaints,
You know what rod I catch the most fish at? I have $600 worth of broken rods down in my office right now. $600 worth. Do you know what I catch the most fish off of? A $49 Fluger Treon reel and rod. $49 at Bass Pro. I've caught so many fish, and I got probably $2,000 worth of bass rods down there. Because that's, hey man, if you want to get in the game, if you want to be competitive, if you want to monkey, you got to have all this expensive crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And here I'm busting hybrids that are 5, 6, 7 pounds on a $49 rod.
Right.
Slaying them, bro. So.
Well, that's just the point of that, man. It's like you don't have to invest a ton. So,
no.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, man, get that casting, you'll be fine.
Yeah. If you're a rod manufacturer and you want to know how good your gear is, send it to me. If there's a way to break it on the water, I will break it. I promise you that. Because this is what this is a few rods that I broke last year. Legitimately, were just bad blanks, right? They were just I just got a raw deal on that. They were replaced. I got them brand new in plastic downstairs. They were turn around, done that. So, but the other rods, it's my fault, and I haven't submitted any warranty claims because I have this little temper problem when I get shit hung up, right? And so what I start doing is I'll pop it, God, pop, and it snaps. You know what I mean? So and then I'm like stupid cheap rod. I'm like, all right, it's my fault, but
it looks like you need some fly fishing in your life, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I could rip the hell out of? And pop it and drag and rip it and throw and get mad? My $49 rod, and it still works.
Yep.
So
yeah, I dig
whatever,
it, man.
Yep.
Well, I dig it, man. You guys got some killer goals for 2020. I'm excited to see what you guys do.
I want to get some catfishermen on the podcast, man, and I'm gonna, I was telling Brian before the show I invested heavily in some media gear this year, and we're gonna step up the media game, and I want to do some media stuff. I know. Look at that beautiful camera right there.
I know.
So I want to have some cat guys on here. We have a lot of bass guys. No catfish, and the catfish community needs some love too, man. And I feel like I'm in a position to bring them some spotlight.
Well, I think that's just it. And I know Jay has touched on this many times. Is you start getting involved in bass tournaments like I did last year, and I was just so focused on bass when. I wanted to chase some other species, but it's like you feel like if you're going chasing another species, you're going to lose your game when it comes to bass fishing, right?
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things for me, dude, for 2020. So I guess I'll, go into it. Like I got some species of fish I want to chase. I want to get back into fly fishing, dude. There's some small stream trout fishing here just over the border in Wisconsin that I would love to take Jay to, because I know he would love it. And same thing with JD for some tiger trout. But Ricketts will bring you along, I guess. But
Yeah.
we can hide him in the
Guys.
trunk.
I can't wade too deep.
Consider none of us have cars. We're all truck guys.
But that's just it, dude. But my thing is, dude, I love creating content, dude. Like the media side of things. It's funny. Who I was talking to last night. I went to my brother's house, and my sister-in-law's like, my nephew, he's about to turn 5 years old, loves fishing, dude. So I showed him the season 3 trailer, that I put together for the podcast here. I was showing him some old fishing videos, and he was all excited. And my sister-in-law is like, this is on YouTube? You do YouTube? And I'm like, I've been doing YouTube since like 2010, back when I used to deer hunt and stuff like that, and I'm not going to drop where you can go see those old videos because it'll be embarrassing. But, I used to do some fly fishing videos, up there in Southwest Wisconsin, dude. And I just want to, I'm getting more into the photography thing. I used to do it a ton in high school. Photography class was a good excuse for me to like sneak out of school and go smoke cigarettes. Don't do that, kids. But, that was back in the day, just stay away from that. But really enjoy photography, dude. And I'm really trying to up my game. And, I know we all talked about it. I took some photos when I got the new camera of the paddle and fin rod sleeves and stuff like that, dude. So, my goal for 2020 is to focus on media, get back to my roots, do some more adventuring, and just be real with myself. I am going to fish some tournaments, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a lot of local stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking forward to coming out to Ohio, Ricketts, and fishing that Cowan Lake event.
Yeah,
So
it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
I feel like
I feel like I know that lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh doesn't want to fish it with me. He knows I'll pull.
I will. You guys come down. Let me know.
Josh is afraid of that lake with me on it because that's where I pulled that bass out from underneath his boat after he couldn't catch a fish all day, dude. And hey Jay, watch this. Pitch my jig. Splashes right next to his boat, getting his elbow wet, and I'm like, watch this. 2 twitches of that jig, dude, and sure enough, hooked up with a bass. And Josh is just, I'm done. But
it was a good time, dude. It was a lot of good times. That's what I want. I want more of that.
Yeah, dude.
More of that adventure, that friendship stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I was hoping to have some kind of schedule out, but we're going to work on this month, just putting a schedule together for paddle and fin meetups, dude. I really enjoyed those last year. Just meeting up with folks in different parts of the country. And I mean, I guess we only did 2 or 3 last year, but
yeah, but your schedule was nuts, know?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Not this year. So, but I mean, we got some exciting things like on the paddle and fin podcast front, that we're working on. I don't want to spill those beans yet, but you guys will be the first to know for sure, the listeners. And man, I'm excited about 2020. I will say this is a year ago today, our podcast had, I think it was 2,830 listens total a year ago. Okay. Today, right now, over 59,300.
Good Lord.
Wow.
That's crazy, huh?
A year ago,
famous.
A year ago, 2,800 something, 59,300 New Year's Day.
And we are not stopping. It's getting serious now. I made a huge investment. Brian's made some investments. Jay's made an investment. I mean, we are coming strong in 2020.
Yeah.
We want to be number one. We're not going to stop till we get to be number one. And that's it.
Like,
Get the out of our way.
Taking it by storm.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We had a conversation. I forget what it was, man. We really set the bar for our community here, kayak fishing, and I think fishing in general. Nobody in the podcast world is producing the amount of content we are. From I think it was the beginning of July till Christmas Day, 113 episodes.
Yeah, to be fair, we have a small army.
Yeah, we do. And that's the thing, like me and Ricketts were texting back and forth, and I'm like, this doesn't happen just because of me or Jay or Ricketts. We have such a great group of guys and gal. Shout out Susie. That make this thing work. So
it's a joint effort, man. It's a group effort, and we love and appreciate everybody's stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think one reason we're successful too is that all of our listeners can like, they all resonate with us, with each individual host, and we're not just. We're not that monkey. We're not doing monkey see, monkey do, and doing the, what the sponsors want us to do. And we don't really have any sponsors that make us follow restrictions. You know what I mean? Like, we're very open. We're free to do whatever the hell we want to do. We're in nobody's pocket, and we're just like, we're a podcast for the everyday fisherman, man.
Sure.
And I think it's why it works.
And to take that a step further, what's that, JD?
It's relatable.
Yeah.
Like on many levels, it's so relatable.
Absolutely, man.
That's what's really making it spread out by storm.
Well, and that's just it, man. Like, we always get the comment, like, I can't keep up with you guys. You produce so much content. And I'm like, well, that's the beauty of podcasts and stuff. You can always go back and listen.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We haven't put out a podcast in 2 weeks, and numbers are still going up, because people are going back, catching up, things like that, Yeah. And like we've had many times between the hosts, it's not about the numbers, man. It's about helping people out there figure things out and being relatable and stuff like that. But I think the one key thing too is we got to thank our guests. They're what help make the show.
I love those people.
Yeah, I can't think of any which one. Oh, JD. Hey, thanks, buddy. No,
how many podcasts can you go on and listen to stories about getting raped by a mountain bike? Not very many, guys.
And to keep mentioning it.
He might like.
I've lost all control. Control.
You know what? We're definitely gonna have to put tell YouTube this is not for kids. Like, this is definitely one of those times where you have to hit that button.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all right, man.
But
mix it up a little bit.
I mean, that's the thing, dude. It's like when we put out the trailer. I'm going through the list of guests we had this last year, and then I submit the post, and I'm like, man, I forgot about so-and-so and so-and-so. And so, I mean, so many just, really good people, big names, and good influencers for our community, for sure. So,
yeah.
But JD's our first 3-timer, I think.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. I think third time on the pod.
We'll send you a bigger shirt.
Dude, that's a killer tat you got though, bro. I'm liking your tattoo, man.
Oh, thank you.
I've been wanting to get sleeved out myself. I've got about 5 tattoos, but I've been wanting to try to get sleeved out. I might be a little motivation. What'd you do if I get Brian and Jay's picture on my forearm or something like that?
Please not that close.
Yeah.
Get a Brian and Jay tramp stamp?
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Who's that, Steve-O? It's got a picture on his back.
Yeah.
I'll pull my shirt off.
His
And
whole
the hair
back
of
is a
Brian
portrait
and
of himself.
Yeah. He's
Oh,
also
man.
got your name on his butt.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't ripped on you for the Bonafide tramp stamp in a long time, man. You
Dude.
just Jackson tramp stamp now.
It's not a bona fide tramp stamp, bro.
No,
It's a good saying to live by.
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
That is
It
the only reason why I got that.
I dig it. I totally dig it.
live the story you want to tell. I mean, that just goes back to what we're talking about, man. So,
Yeah, absolutely it does.
well, I think we're winding down here, boys. JD, we'll give you the floor, man. Any last words of encouragement? You want to talk about one last punch at Ricketts for his mountain bike accident, anything like that? The floor is yours, my man.
Let me have it.
Man, I just, again, I appreciate the opportunity. I really enjoy being on here with you guys. I mean, it's just it's like a bunch of us buddies just sitting around hanging out, shooting the breeze. And I think that's what makes this podcast stand out from every other one that's out there.
Yeah,
he froze up.
When your family, get out in nature and just enjoy being positive. Life's way too short. So why get caught up in the BS and the drama and being fake? Too many people are concentrated on who they can buddy up to or whatever. I can't get down. So, do your thing. What's solo for you?
Agreed.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, boys, any final words, thoughts?
Just be good to everybody. That's right. Hug yourself, hug a friend. Don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to reach out to us. Of course, we may not have all the answers. We got some of them.
Yeah.
And we know who we can go to if we do need them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody that we've had contact with is very engaging. So, for those of you who don't think you're getting the answers where you want them, just hit us up.
Yeah.
And we'll do it on the podcast. Maybe make a video, something. We'll get to you in one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Always feel free to reach out on our social medias. Email us if you don't want it out on the ether. Private message us, whatever, man. No question is a bad question. So just want to throw that out there. And absolutely, man. I know, like I said, dude, JD, I reached out to him, responded, and, we've built a really good friendship, I feel, off that. And you never
JD's
know.
Good dude.
You never know what could happen just by sending a message to get some information and help your time on the water or life, whatever it may be, out, So,
That's right.
Yeah. So, with that being said, guys and gals, we look forward to a new and exciting year with you all and growing the podcast a little bit more, growing our listener family and things like that. So JD, thanks again, man, for taking some time out to chat, brother. Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Till next time, tight lines, smooth paddling. Peace. Go check out the website, guys. Paddle, the letter N in fin.com. Also check out YouTube, youtube.com/paddle-n-fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest, feel free to email us at paddle, the letter N in fin, @gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're doing giveaways, announcements, things like that at Facebook and Instagram @paddle-n-fin. Shout out to our show supporters, Rocktown Adventures, Loveland Canoe and Kayak, Hammered Lures, Fish Mob Lures, TRC Covers, Ketch Products. Go to ketchproducts.com. You could put the Paddle and Fin logo right on your catch board. Don't forget to go over and pick up your JigMasters Jigs. Use promo code PNF20 and save 20% today. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. It helps grow the audience, helps others find our podcast. So please drop a 5-star rating in on the podcast platform you're listening on. Don't forget about the recycled plastics program, you guys. Take your used plastic baits, put them in an envelope, mail them to the address in the show notes. Our man Eric Richards at Hammered Lures melts those down, makes new baits, and donates them to various chapters of Heroes on the Water.